The real Jesus? 30 years of programming? Are you really healed inside of a year or two? You want more abuse? Mormons don't really know what to do with divorce, do they? A church that needs apologetics is a lot like a comedian who needs someone to explain all his jokes. All his jokes. All his jokes. All his jokes. Let's write a tragedy, a screenplay about a breakup. Here's my research. Best to write what you know, so let's go back into one of my stories. 20 years ago, my temple marriage ended in divorce. What? Aren't those forever? I remember my aunt giving me advice. She was a therapist, so had a lot of good things to say. She said, I know it's lonely right now. You probably want to go out and fill that void left by having a family and a wife. And it made me think of that old saying, best way to get over one person is to get on top of another. And all the other inappropriate things we think when we're trying to get over the pain. So her advice was this: if you just go out and jump into a new relationship right now, just to fill the void, it's very possible that you're going to end up in the same relationship you just left, except with someone new. Good or bad for you, who knows? But if you want to change things, if you want to fix some things about yourself or the type of relationships you've had, now's the time to do it. So go out and find out who you are. It's going to take some time, really reevaluating your life, and it's probably going to be painful. At least for a while. And you're gonna need to change your thinking, but in the end, it'll all be worth it. She was right. I got married way too fucking early, way too young, and I never really gave myself a chance to become truly autonomous, to see how I make decisions without someone else's opinions just swaying me in any way. But now I'm in this situation where I'm broken up, trying to replace that sense of family and love. I wanted to replace all that. And then she said to me, but wouldn't you rather wait till you're healed a bit before you go out there and try to make someone else complete you? Take some time to learn to think for yourself. So I spent the next several years doing exactly that, and I changed a lot. And the thing that gets me years later is that my aunt's advice definitely works for ex-Mormons. I mean, isn't leaving the church a lot like a divorce? But let's think about this. How did I feel after I left the church? Lonely? Of course. And why did I feel that? A lot of Mormons would say it's because I no longer had the gift of the Holy Ghost. Let's try to figure out what the gift of the Holy Ghost was. I think what we feel when we think we feel the Holy Ghost is actually the comfort of groupthink, unity, and love from being part of a tightly wound up tribe. So why is there comfort in groupthink? Well, I'm having my decisions all made for me, homogenized, shrink-wrapped, and mom-approved. When we all sing together in the same song, there's a certain harmony. But what happens when you get a little older and you start thinking on your own and you think, I don't agree with these lyrics? When you start thinking differently, you're risking a rift. I remember talking to my best friend right about the time that Paul Dunn had been caught lying about his World War II and baseball stories. I said to my friend, can you believe he was lying? My friend couldn't take that angle. He just didn't want to go down that rabbit hole because he knew where that led. Instead, he liked to use the word embellish, which in my book still means lying. And so we argued. A rift happened between us. And what's amazing about Paul Dunn was that when we were kids, we would listen to these tapes. We would listen to him speak live at conference or at any kind of a event. We were so pulled together and unified by this man's words because we thought we were feeling something. They told us that what we were feeling was the Holy Ghost, the Holy Ghost. And that was the unifying emulsification. And now those stories have quite the opposite effect. Instead of unifying us, it's literally tearing us apart. So many insecure questions come out of that one set of lies. Why did he lie? Why didn't our prophets, seers, and revelators know that he was lying? Or maybe they did. He was the church's cash cow that gave evaporated milk. Does this also mean that the gift of discernment is also a lie? And then you got to think, are other leaders lying? I mean, is their tone authentic? They all seem to have that same cadence when they talk. Rather suspect to me. It's like they went to a class. Welcome to General Authority 101. So if this is a relationship, why don't they think our relationship is deserving of their honesty? They certainly expect our honesty. And why would I stay in a relationship that's built around these lies. Because Jesus is involved? Hell, I can get Jesus in a coffee shop in Lubbock, Texas, along with pancakes and eggs for $8.99. How many lies lead to rifts in the church? How many people are leaving because of the lies? How many lies can you take before your shelf breaks? Was the relationship we had with the church, was that abusive? Was it mutually beneficial? I mean, after I started having questions, why did I stick around? Why was I putting up with all this stuff? Was it because it kept the peace between me and my mom? I mean, how did I even get in this relationship in the first place? Oh yeah, my mom. So the breakup happened. What do I do now? There's a certain amount of uncertainty here. I'm leaving my comfort zone. Am I bringing my confidence with me? How much of my confidence was actually tied to my relationship with the church? If I leave the church, do I also leave my confidence behind? I mean, how confident am I on my own? They always say, if you leave, where will you go? Well, now I have a lot of self-doubt. It looks like I'm gonna have to start building my self-confidence on my own. I gotta learn to think all over again. I've gotta start thinking for myself, whatever the hell that means. But now that I am thinking for myself, I get to choose a lot of things on my own. Do I even want a relationship with religion? I mean, I still have a lot of shit on me from that last one. How long does it take to get that off? I see a lot of people who are out of the church for like a year or two, and they're like, I'm not angry, I'm fine, everything's good, I'm all healed. In fact, I can help you get healed too. They're full of shit. At least they're still covered with the shit from the church. They are still angry. How long does this take? I think this is where the stages of grief start to come into play. This is definitely that time where outsiders see that you've had a big breakup and they're like, hey, I got somebody for you. You don't know the real Jesus. It's a lot like a guy going up to a lesbian and saying,
you just haven't had a real man.
Completely insulting. Maybe I don't need a relationship right now. Until I can figure some things out and choose for myself from a place where I set the rules instead of by some book that's questionably authentic. So I guess I gotta fix me first. Maybe shuffle through my past, see the things that worked, things that didn't work. Maybe I need to learn to rely on myself. No matter what, things are gonna change. My Sundays are now mine. I'm gonna meet new friends, and I get to choose my new friends rather than them being chosen for me by my ward boundaries or my callings. Ugh. God. And no more of those obligatory monthly visits to my house. That was painful for everyone. Hey, I get to spend my time cultivating my own talents rather than teaching someone's obnoxious asshole kid in Sunday school. I get to study all schools of thought, including those that rival the ones my parents passed down. I get to know myself rather than lose myself in someone else's passions. I get to learn self-love rather than guilt and shame. I get to build my own confidence that frees me from the intimidation of some octogenarian in a corporate suit. Having rejected the things that were passed down to me that don't work, I am now thinking for myself, at least 66% of the time. I get to question anything. Everything.